today I will be showing you my launch for a class project in which students will pick out particular fonts and then analyze those fonts for their word choice. They're going to talk about how the author uses particular words to create a story, mood, and a poetic structure. And then they are going to write an essay about those findings, and finally make a poster to communicate those findings. This is part of a larger unit about words in context, and the lesson that students will have leading up to this launch is looking at unfamiliar words and trying to figure out their meaning from context. So they've been looking at words very closely all day. All right, let's begin. Hello, everyone. We have been talking a lot about words today. We've been studying words, talking about what they mean. We're going to do something a little bit more fun now, all right? So I've given each of you a piece of paper with some poetry on it, all right? We are going to look at a little section of that poetry. And for those of you that have been reading ahead, I know it's a little bit strange, but that's okay, all right? I exited the plane at Los Angeles International Airport, possessing a fantasy and a sweater. Greeting from the land of plentiful notoriety. Will I conform? All right? Those are the first 4 lines of the poem that I gave you. What are the first things that we think about this poem, right? Because I'm sure we have some opinions about it. Let's talk about the story that it's telling. Who can tell me about the story of this poem, just the part that we read? Right, it seems like the beginning of a story. It seems like we're introduced to a character who's setting out on a journey, right? What about the mood? Who knows what the mood of something is? Yes, the mood is the feel that you get when you look at a text. It's how the text makes you feel, the kind of emotions it makes you think about, right? So what kind of emotions, what kind of feel do we get from this bit of poetry? Right, it's a little bit scary, it's a little bit ominous. What makes it ominous? Yeah, will I conform? That's a little bit scary. I don't want to conform. I want to be different. I want to be unique, right? Who else? Yeah, she only has a fantasy and a sweater. That's not very much, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah, the mood might be a little bit ominous because notoriety is not a good thing to have. Who knows what notoriety is? Yeah, notoriety is when you're famous for doing something bad, right? And let's talk about the poetic structure. A poetic structure is the different components of a poem that have to do with how it's ordered and basically the structure. We'll talk about it much more later on. You don't need to worry about that right now. Let's talk about the rhythm of the poem, all right? Let's read through it again and pay attention to the rhythm this time. I exited the plane at Los Angeles International Airport, possessing a fantasy and a sweater. Greeting from the land of plentiful notoriety. Will I conform? All right, so when I read that for rhythm, what did we think? Does it have much rhythm? No, it's really clunky. What makes it clunky? Yeah, I agree. Los Angeles International Airport is definitely a mouthful. It's much longer than any of the other lines we have, right? Look at this one. International is longer than the entire other line. So it's very clunky. It doesn't flow very well. Let's talk about the rhyme scheme. Does this poem have a rhyme scheme? I exited the plane at Los Angeles International Airport, possessing a fantasy and a sweater. Greetings from the land of plentiful notoriety. Will I conform? So our end words are airport, sweater, notoriety, and conform. Do any of those words rhyme? Mm-mm. No. Do any of them have, like, really similar sounds within them? We end with t, c, t. That's kind of similar to t, but airport also has that R sound. Conform, you have There just aren't very many similarities within these words. So it doesn't really have any sort of a rhyme scheme or sound pattern. Now, some of you have probably already figured this out because I know I gave you the full version of the poem. But it's not actually a poem by itself. It's a bit of a modification poem. I took a song that you're probably very familiar with, and I rewrote it entirely using synonyms. Who knows what a synonym is? That's right. A synonym is when you have one word and another word that mean the same thing, but are still different words. Like good and great. They don't mean exactly the same thing, but they do technically have the same kind of meaning. We're going to talk about that way more in 2 days, so you don't need to worry about that right now. But basically, all you need to know is this is a rewritten version of a song where everything has the same literal meaning, but the feel of it, the sound of the words is very different. All right? And I chose a song because a song is a type of poetry, right? Words are organized in a particular way to give story, mood, and a particular kind of sound to them, right? Let's listen to that song. Let's see if you're familiar with it. Sorry, 1 second. All right, who knows what that song is? That's right, Miley Cyrus's Party in the USA. All right? Going off, if you didn't already know it was Party in the USA, would you have guessed from these lyrics? Yeah, they're very different in how they feel, right? Let's look at the actual lyrics of the song, and we'll compare them, all right? So, I hopped off the plane at L-A, sorry, this should be capital, A-X, with a dream and a cardigan. Welcome to the land of fame, excess, this mark is dying, I gonna fit in. All right. So immediately, you should be recognizing a lot of differences between these two poems. All right? Let's talk about the narrative first. All right? What kind of story do the actual lyrics tell? Right. We immediately know she's getting off a plane and she's trying to start a new life somewhere where there's a lot of fame, right? It's not as ambiguous as this one. It's much easier to figure out what's going on. And it probably also helps we know the story of the actual song, but that's a different thing. What about the mood? The mood of the original song? It's happy. Okay, what makes it happy? Hopped? Yeah, hopped is a very happy word. Let's compare it to exited. If I'm walking out my door and I hop out the door, we're thinking I'm what? I'm probably happy, I'm probably excited. If I exited, do we know how I feel? No, it's much more ambiguous. All right, what else about these words are happy? A dream, right? So a dream is something you dream about, obviously. Let's compare that to fantasy. Fantasy, it feels less likely to come true, right? It's more abstract. Okay, what else about the mood of the original lyrics? Yeah, it's hopeful, right? What's hopeful about it? Yeah, am I gonna fit in? Am I gonna fit in? That's a much more hopeful tone than will I conform, right? When I want to fit in with a group, I still have more of myself around than conforming. I'm not just blankly becoming part of the group. I might be making friends, right? All right. Let's look at the poetic structure. Let's look at the rhythm first, okay? I hopped off the plane at LAX with a dream and a cardigan. Welcome to the land of fame, excess, woo. I didn't write that down, but that's in the song. Welcome to the land of fame, excess, woo. Am I gonna fit in? So, compared to this one, which one flows better? Which one is more natural to read? Right, this one. Why is that? Yeah, it doesn't have any of those long, clunky words. Let's compare Los Angeles International Airport to LAX. Who knows what LAX means? Right, it is the official name of the Los Angeles International Airport. So quite literally, these two things mean the exact same thing, but they're so different in the context, right? Los Angeles International Airport is long and clunky. LAX is short and poppy. It just goes LAX. Isn't that strange how they're so different? Right. Let's look at the rhyme scheme, okay? So we have LAX, cardigan, excess, fit in. All right, are we noticing a bit of a rhyme scheme here? Yeah, it's not a strict rhyme scheme. LAX and excess do not technically rhyme with each other. They're not perfect rhymes. But they both end with that X sound. It's a similar sound. And cardigan, in. Again, they're not exact rhymes, but they both end with that sound. All right? So altogether, you have more of a sing-song kind of feel. You have rhythm. You have rhyme. That's what makes it a song, right? Could you imagine singing this? Yeah, I doubt it. So, altogether, which one of these do we prefer? Raise your hand if you prefer this one. All right, I'm seeing a lot of hands. Why do you prefer this one? Yeah, because it has that rhythm, it has the rhyme, it's more optimistic. What about this one? Does anyone prefer this one? Yeah, I figured you'd prefer that one. Now, why do you prefer this one? Yeah, you like it a little bit more creepy? Yeah. Now, I think that there are definitely some things that could be improved about this one. But just the fact that we can make opinions about which one is better, when strictly speaking, they mean the same thing, shows a lot about how important word choice is for songs and poems, all right? And we are going to be doing a bit of a project based around that, all right? I'm going to give you the instructions in a minute, but basically, you are all going to be picking out a song, analyzing the words in that song, doing a little bit of research on what other people think about the lyrics, and then you're going to be writing essays, and at the end, you're going to be making posters where you can show everybody how the word choice affects the song's story, the song's mood, and the song's poetic structure. All right? See you all soon. And then, so that's the end of the launch. I'm going to pass out the instruction to the students, and their homework for the night is to start thinking about songs that they might want to start looking into tomorrow during class time. And that's everything. Thank you for watching.